Combustion.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Been running the game with my team making plays. Talking 80, my G's, one and jewels in this place. Surrounded by dogs, keep the quarterback safe. I'm the one with the plans, they gon' do what I say. The game is not over, we don't celebrate. In the end zone, we don't got no time in the wait. H-Town run down, we don't premeditate. We just go and get to it, we got them on skates. If the game going to overtime, kicking the overdrive, we gon' be first at the finish line. Play looking full, but I finish mine, can I get second? We gon' line up like it's dinner time. We put in work till we get us a ring. Super Bowl season, we running the scene. H-Town the home of the realest that breathe. Keep your face down when you talk to the king.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the H-Town Rundown. This is your boy AD. Got my co-host in the building. We got Clay Anderson in the building. And of course, we got a special guest. Y'all know him from the Killer Bees, Jeremy Branham, 97.5 ESPN. How are you doing today, Mr.
I'm
Branham?
doing good. Thank you for having me. I like the intro song. Y'all do that yourself, or do you have somebody to do that?
Yeah, we went and got somebody to cook it up for us.
That's good. I like it.
Yes, sir. So, Clayton, it's on you. Go ahead, brother.
Hey, man, listen, I'm just spectating. So, yeah, no, it's a great honor, great privilege. No, this brother just all over the Houston sports space, so graced us with his presence. So I'm thankful and excited and ready to go. So without any further ado, we got some ball to discuss, gentlemen. So C.J. Stroud, Matt Stafford, round one, I guess. So, Branham, this one's for you first. So what I was going to ask you was, what is like your expectation immediately for what you're looking for from CJ, the O-line in week one? And then also, besides a victory that we'd all like to see, what would your definition of success be for them in week one?
For me, it hinges on the offense. I think you kind of alluded to that with Stroud and Caley. Like, I feel like we all have a pretty good idea of what this defense is going to be. Like, we could argue how good. Like, we could argue, are they the best defense in the NFL? Are they top 3? Are they top 5? But like anything out of the top 10 would be a disappointment, right? Mm-hmm. Like we think this defense is going to be very, very good. So we have the questions on the offensive side, mostly the offensive line. I think Stroud gets criticized for his sophomore year a little bit too much. I thought he played pretty good considering all the things that were going wrong around him. So I also don't love the week one opponent, knowing you have an entirely new offensive line, an entirely new scheme. It's NFL, so every game matters, right? Mm-hmm. But it is one of 17. You are on the road. You are an underdog. So, like, the win, obviously a win's really, really good. That'd be an unbelievable result. Like, if you get a win on the road at L.A., who's a playoff team in the NFC more than likely, that would be fantastic. It'd be a great start. We're all bullish on the Houston Texans. But I'm not going to, overreact to a loss either. Now, if the offensive line is dreadful and you give up 8 sacks and C.J. Stroud's, tasting the turf all game, it's like, is this the same offensive line production than you saw a year ago? Then it's like, okay, well, context matters here. So I think that the offense and look, I also think that we should probably temper our expectations in week one. Like Stroud's doing things he's never done before in his NFL career, entirely new offensive line, rookie left tackle, first-year play caller going up against a coaching staff that knows him because he was there last year. So I do think our expectations should be tempered on what we see offensively. But I also think we need to see basic level offensive line play and protecting the franchise quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah. I do want to jump in. I know we're talking about the offense, but I just came across a stat that on Twitter or X, guy Blaine Grissack put out. He said Sean McVay has gone up against DeMeco Ryans 5 times. DeMeco Ryans' defense 5 times in 2021 and 2022. In those 5 games, the Rams are 1-4 and score an average of 15.4 points per game. And the Texans' defense has been ranked 6th in EPA per play last season. So I think that bodes well for us when it comes. I think the biggest factor we've been concerned about has been the biggest threat, should I say, for the Rams is their offense. And Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams now and Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, the running back. So they have a lot of weapons and they have a lot of different things they can do offensively that has made them a great, successful team for the last, 5 or 6 years that or more than Sean McVay has been the head coach there?
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun matchup because like you start to get into the I didn't realize that stat you mentioned with McVay and D'Amico. I think McVay is one of the best offensive play callers in the NFL, and I think Ryans is one of the better defensive play callers in the NFL. So for like an X's and O standpoint, that's a really fun matchup with just the matching of the wits. You mentioned Puka and you mentioned Devontae, who I talked about Stroud. I thought he was better last year than what people give him credit for. I think the same thing with Devontae. I think Devontae Adams, he's washed. No, I don't think so. I think Adams is pretty good. In fact, when he was with the Jets, he looked pretty good against the Texans secondary last year.
Yeah.
So you got Puka and you have Devontae, and on the other side, you got Stingley and Lassiter. Like, that's a really fun matchup. I like Kyron Williams too, but I believe in the Texans' run defense. Stafford's a wise, cagey old veteran. Azeez Al-Shire is kind of a pretty smart old veteran too. So I do love that side of the ball, the matchup there, because you have a lot of little chess matches, like games within the game. That I think are going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. And my little tidbit to throw in is we've been following the little mini storyline, and I don't know if he's just being you speak of being cagey. I don't know if he's being coy or not with this, but that back situation. I don't know how much to make of this. All I know is this is probably one of the worst defenses to come back with a bad back with. So I'm just putting it out there. Hope the best for him, but
there are reports that he hadn't thrown a pass until this week.
Listen.
Supposedly he's been out there, but he hasn't thrown a pass until they started practice this week, the whole offseason. I don't know. It doesn't sound true, but that's just a report that came out from one of the Rams people on their side.
Listen, I don't want to be jaded, but look, here in Houston, right, we're used to having things handed to us and then we drop it on the floor, right? I don't want to get into how many games between Astros, Rockets, and Texans where it's the table set and we get blown out. So I don't want to speak those things, but no,
it's not just pro sports.
I know.
We don't want to go down the couch either.
I know. But no, Jimmy,
let us not reminisce about that.
So, Jimmy, back to you. Huh? Oh.
So let us not reminisce about a few months ago.
I know. But no, Jay, back to you. So you mentioned the defense with Stingley and Kamari, right? And then, of course, there's a CJ GJ. Looks like he's ready for week 1. Are you looking for any specific nuances on the defensive side of the ball? Anything you haven't seen before that you're excited to see or think D'Amico could weave in there?
I think you touched on it. This is – you really don't have a whole lot of turnover on that side of the ball. Like, all your key players are back. Your best defensive players are back. Will, Daniil, Stingley, Lassiter, Bullock, who I thought had a tremendous rookie year. I think the two new pieces that I guess you could qualify as nuance. I'm really excited to see what Sheldon Rankins looks like in the middle of this Texans defense. I think he was really good 2 years ago. Obviously, it didn't work out with him in Cincinnati last year. He got sick. He talked about that at the start of training camp. I think he could really excel in that middle of the Texans defensive line. And when you hear all these these national talking heads too, when you look, what are the Texans' weaknesses, and you read all these articles and all that stuff, it was always offensive line and defensive line. And I understand the offensive line side of that. They were awful last year. I never really understood the defensive line. Specifically, they would say interior defensive line. Right. You're not going to put down Anderson and Daniil Hunter. They talk specifically the defensive tackles, but I think they're underrated. I love that Rankins is back. I think he can be good. Mario Edwards, I thought, was really good last year. I think Settle and Foley are good role players. The Tommy Tagai, I've heard great things about him. I haven't seen a whole lot of play from him, but I think that's an underrated spot, actually, with the Texans. So, what does that look like in the middle of Anderson and Daniil? That could be a lot of fun. And then you mentioned C.J. Gardner-Johnson. What does that pairing look like? We haven't seen that on in a regular season game. And look, CD didn't play a whole lot in practice or whatever in preseason because of the knee injury. So I think those are the two things that I'm curious about the most: interior defensive line play and that safety tandem.
Okay, Eddie, you got something?
Yeah, you listed all the defensive tackles and the talent. We still have one on PUP that hasn't come back yet, and Danico Autry.
Yeah,
just add him to the list of talent that is on that interior defensive line. Even though Autry is a tweener, but he plays a lot in those speed packages when you have Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson and You have Autry in the middle
Yep.
working it as well. So that, to me, it just makes them dangerous. I don't think people really understand how talented Tim Settle is. Um, you know, he's always been bogged down by other talent above him. I think when he was in Washington, he had Allen, he had a bunch of guys. I think they had like 4 or 5 first round defensive tackles that were in that room that he was in. Then went to Buffalo and battled injuries and was played well in Buffalo. But yeah, Tim Settle, Foley Fadakowski, who played really well for us before he got injured, is really slept on as well. So I think, to your point, Sheldon Rankins coming back to more talent than what he was around with his first stint in Houston should make him even more explosive, even more. It takes a lot of pressure off of him to especially him being an older vet, than him trying to be that guy. So definitely, I think this is just an improvement as well.
So I just brought up Jules. He said they're not nationally, they're not national guys. So just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Like, they don't have a whole lot of cachet, right? Like, they don't. You see those names, and they're all like, they're solid. And I think in this defense, you don't need them to be like household names. You need them to be solid. You need them to play their roles. And I think in D'Amico's defense, a lot of it, they're not going to get stats. Like, you don't really want those guys. I mean, you would love if they got a TFL or whatever, but they're eating blocks. They're taking on offensive linemen. They're opening it up for Aziz. They're clogging space. Maybe you can get a pass rush from the corners because they're causing problems in the interior. Those guys are usually just not going to get love because their numbers are never going to be huge.
Right. Yeah, and I challenged, I think I tweeted it out, but I challenged a lot of people to find me the defensive line that has the star power like Will Anderson at defensive end and Daniil Hunter at defensive end, and they also have the star power inside as well. I think there's maybe one, and that may be the Giants that are close to it with Dexter.
They might have 3,
right?
With Thibodeau,
and Brian Burns.
That's right. Yeah.
Brian Burns, Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence in the middle. And they just added what's the guy from Penn State? Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
So
they good things about him too. Apparently they love him.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that defensive line is going to be probably the best in football.
Disgusting, gross.
Yeah, but outside of that defensive line, you don't see that across the NFL. You go to Cleveland with Myles Garrett. It's just Myles Garrett. You can't get a guy to pay me $50 that can name the other defensive tackles in Cleveland. And then you go to, of course Pittsburgh with TJ Watt. They got Casey Hayward, but Casey Hayward's on his last leg. He has a year or 2 left. He's out the door, so it's rare that you see the star power and the potent power in both interior and the edge position on the defensive line.
No, it's very rare. I mean, they would have top 2, top 3 edge combination in the NFL. It could be one at the end of the year.
Yeah,
easily. People don't understand. I'm sorry.
I was done.
Sure. I was going to say, no, people really don't understand, not to belabor the point, but people really don't understand. Like, I did some content on Daniil just because people question, like, why is he paid that much money? Well, first of all, because Nick Caserio is smart. Second of all, if you break down the stats, I mean, this man, more than half his career, I believe, he 12 or more sacks or something like that. So, and you're adding that to Will Anderson and everything else. Come on now, this is no-brainers. But again, they're not national guys. Of course, we're the ones supposed to know this. So, of course, we're going to be bullish, right? But so speaking of, Jeremy, back to you with this. So cards on the table. I got to ask you, right? That's what we do. Texans, Rams, Stafford, CJ, round 1. Who you got?
Give me CJ. I think CJ at this stage of their career is better talent. I mean, you can go the whole resume question, right? Like, Stafford's had a better NFL career just because Stroud's only entering his 3rd season. But no, if you gave me both of those guys for just this year, like, let's just say that you have 1 season in the NFL and then you're done for whatever reason. You want to ride 17 games with CJ or Stafford?
Yeah,
true.
I mean, I would go Stroud, and like you mentioned, AD, the back issues with Stafford. Like, even if you eliminate the injuries, look, I love Stafford. I have a huge respect for him. But I like youth in the NFL. I know the quarterback position you can play forever. Brady played to 45, but he's an exception to the rule.
Yep.
I would take Stroud. I like him a lot. Like he throws he throws a beautiful ball, can make all the throws. I don't think he has the strongest arm in the NFL, but he's strong enough. Like he can make every throw. I love the touch that he has, can feather balls. I think it is I don't call it a make or break year for Stroud.
Sure.
Because, he could have a decent year and still be fine. But I do think it's going to be a telling year for Stroud because he is doing something this year he's never been asked to do. And I think he's going to excel. I think he's going to be really good at this. But, let's just make talk out the scenario. Like, if he has a bad year whenever he has all this control, I think that the narrative on Stroud's a little different in a year.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. Right. Like, it's in the range of possibilities. So I think this is the year where, third year oftentimes is this anyways. But I think at the end of the year, we have the answer, is C.J. Stroud a top 5 quarterback? Is he a top 5 guy for the next 7 years? If he plays well, new scheme, he's making all the adjustments at the line, he's getting all the coverages right, he's getting the offensive line where they need to be. Okay, you got a guy who can be a top 5 guy, can take you to a Super Bowl. If he struggles with it, I think it does put a limit on his ceiling. Now, I don't think he's going to struggle with it, but if he does, if he looks bad and he's having trouble at the line, okay, well, maybe he can't be a top 5 guy. Maybe he's just top 15, top 10. So I think I think that matters.
So I will say this real quick. So shout out Chris Sims. It came to my mind when you were speaking. He's one of the only CJ Stroud guys in the national media. Not the only one, but him and Florio, they're talking, they chop it up. Chris Sims, normally he blows the trumpet for the Texans and CJ. He contextualizes in a way that a lot don't. So that's why I specifically wanted to say shout out him, because he will go the extra mile and say, hey, listen, between Bobby Slowick at OC, between the O-line, between everything we discuss, he's one of the ones who actually contextualize and say, come on, and to still get to the playoffs back-to-back years, dominating wins in back-to-back years. All he's done is beat number 1 defenses, whether it's scoring or whether it's overall defenses back-to-back. Right. So, hey, next question, I'll say, AD, let me throw it to you real quick. So, if you had to pick right now, Texans versus Rams, who wins that game, and give me a score prediction?
I'd say the Texans win this game, and I'm going to go out on a limb. This is going to shock people. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be close. I have the Texans winning this game 32 to 10.
Dang, 10?
32 to 10.
Ooh,
I think it's one of these games where it shocks everybody and everybody's like, wow, we weren't expecting this. I think the offense wakes up with Nick Caley, and I think he's going to have a game plan that is really going to – I think he really wants to put it to his former head coach.
Of course, yeah.
And Sean McVay. And again, I just don't trust Matt Stafford to come out of that game without being in a blue tent 2 or 3 times. So I think that is what is going to help, and I don't think Stetson Bennett is going to do anything for this Texas defense. So
if they win by that score, you know what the conversation is going to be.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's to Texans to the moon. It's going to be Super Bowl contender. If they smoke the Rams at LA like that,
of course. Hey, you know it is. Yeah. No,
absolutely.
You know it is. Yeah.
I'm all for it. I am all for it.
Listen, you said 32-10. I was confident. I got them going 12-5 for the season. I got them beating the Rams week 1. I didn't mean 32-10 type beat, but Jeremy, you agree, disagree? What do you think? Because I
have a tough time seeing them score that many points. Just week 1, new scheme, rookie left tackle, good defense that has a really good pass rush on the road. Week 1 when you're not a well-oiled machine yet. I mean, if it happens, I'm bullish. Like Texans top 5 offense, let's go.
Yeah, right.
But I have a tough time seeing the 32. Sure. I do think that they win this game, though. I think it's going to be kind of like a street fight. I think it's going to be a very physical game. I was listening to McVay on Monday, and he's like, "Yeah, the Texans, they toe the line with the way they play." I was like, "Okay, I like that a little bit. I like having that reputation, though. Like, I want the other team, the Texans toe the line. We're in for a physical fight. I want that reputation." And he was very polite and kind and had great things to say about D'Amico. But he's like, yeah, they're a physical team. They play like his mentality. But I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it's like a field goal game. trying to think if I want to give the Texans 23 points. I think I'll go 23-20.
Okay.
Ooh,
Maybe a late field goal for Fairbairn puts them over the top.
Oh,
Maybe a defensive
oh,
stand
no.
at the end. I'll go 23-20.
yeah. I need it because Kaimi gets unnecessary hate as being one of the best kickers in the NFL. And I think he doesn't get the
Yeah.
appreciation he needs. He needs more game winners. Definitely. So I'm all for that. And I will paint this a little more nuance in my score. I think the Texans will have a lot more short field because I think they will be able to turn the Rams over at least 3 times.
Maybe a defensive touchdown, something like
Right.
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that Pat to 32.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is that to your point, Jeremy, and kind of 80, a mix of yours too, whoever doesn't, I guess I don't want to say doesn't, but whoever makes that one big play more than the other team is kind of how it processes, whether it's that key turnover, whether it's that one, deep ball that really shouldn't work, but it does. Like one of them things I could see happening. So, yeah. So, okay, cool. So kind of
I got one over under.
Oh,
Jeremy, over under Nico Collins making 2 spectacular catches or plays in this game against the Rams.
Define spectacular for me. What am I
Let's go week 1 from the Colts. Where he had the 50-yard bomb CJ threw over 2 players, just mossed them. Or Nico Collins having a Bills touchdown where he just, Bills or Colts where he smoked them on a 9 route and making a big 60-yard touchdown.
Oh yeah, Bills, yeah.
So like an explosive, like does it have? It doesn't have to be a touchdown, does it? Like
No, just explosive. Yeah,
play,
like the Colts week 1 where he caught it over 2 players. That was explosive play, but it was a spectacular catch as well.
Or like one of those clutch ones on the sideline to close the game out. One of those.
Yeah.
You said 2?
Over under 2.
2? Yo, I think you said the number perfectly. I think 2 is the number. Okay. That's a good line, AD. You should set lines. It's a good one. I'm gonna go over. I think Nico goes nuts this year. Like I do like their weapons. So like he doesn't have to be one guy, right? Like he doesn't have to be Nico flirting with, I don't know if he can get to 100 catches, but like 90 catches, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns. I think he's capable of doing that, but I don't think they have to do that. I think I like the pieces around him. Although I don't know how I feel about this Christian Kirk not at practice today, but no, I'll go over on that. Give me Nico over. I think he has a massive year. Like this should be the prime of his career. He's at that age. We should be gearing up for the next 3-4 years of Nico Collins being a stud.
Yeah, we do have a question, Jeremy, from Dominic. I'm pretty sure Dominic calls in all the time. And he said, Branham, when does Woody Marks assert himself as running back 1 over Chubb or Dari?
He said when, not
when,
if.
not if. When.
So I was being a little silly about this today. I don't know if y'all saw the captains. The Texans announced their captains.
Yes.
2 defensively. I think Dari's the special teams representative.
Yes. Had to be.
Yes.
Had to be, right? Yeah. Deductive reasoning gets me there. But my take is, and look, I don't believe in the whole like week 1 depth chart. Like Travion Henderson's like a 4th running back or whatever. For the Patriots, he's their lead guy. Who else did they do that to? I think RJ Harvey for Denver was listed as 4th running back.
He's that starter. Yeah.
The Commanders guy. What is it? What they're calling him? Bill now? Bill.
Yeah. Bill. Yeah.
Is it Merritt or Moret? I don't remember.
I think it's Merritt. I have him in like 5. I have him in 5 fantasy leagues.
How you been drafting them?
I've been like 7th round. People have not been really paying attention, like 7th, 8th round.
Okay.
On average, and I'm like, thank you,
yeah.
Thank you. I think one draft I got him in the 11th round.
I feel like the regular fantasy market's been slow to move on him, but like the best ball market's been too quick to move on him. Like he's being drafted like in the top 90 now. Like, okay, but anyways, I don't know how much Woody's going to play, especially early. Like he's 4th running back, whatever, but he's not going to play early downs like that. Sure. That's going to be Chubb and Pierce until they prove that they're not worthy. Will they prove they're not worthy? Who knows?
It's easy for Damian Pierce.
I was about to say, Jeremy, because listen, that's a whole. Not to cut you off, so
yeah,
half of that we're full agreement, but this back half,
you don't like Pierce?
Absolutely not.
I'm curious. I'm not bullish on Pierce by any means, but
Yeah.
I wonder how much Pierce looks differently in a scheme that fits him better.
Mm-hmm.
Like outside zone was not for him.
It
Gap
wasn't.
scheme, a little bit more what it was his first couple years.
I'm
First year. I'm
yeah.
curious. I'm curious. I'm not saying
I just have a disdain for Damian Pierce, and not the fault of his own, but it's
Yeah.
the fault of the Houston Texans, because I feel like the Houston Texans have put Damian Pierce on this so-say pedestal. Even since his rookie year. We go all the way back. Damian Pierce was drafted in the 4th round. He plays maybe 10 plays in the first preseason game. Ironically, it's against the Rams in LA, and they shut him down for the rest of the preseason and anoint him as the new starting running back, and that's it. And ever since then, I feel like he's been given excuses and reasons why, and all of these different things, especially in his where he was drafted. Other running backs would have been already cut by now.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good take. I feel like his stature or his security on the roster has been a lot more in question and in jeopardy with the fan base than with the staff. I 100% believe that. I'm just curious what he looks like in a scheme that fits him better. And look, it doesn't matter what we think, right? It's what they're going to do. Like, do we think that Damian Pierce and Nick Chubb will be the starter? But don't we think they're getting the early down runs and early down snaps early in the year at least? Like probably at least the first 3-4 weeks. I think so. Not that we agree with it, but I think so. And then who's your third down back? Are they going Dari or are they going Woody? Because whenever they had the ones getting the dress rehearsal for the season, it wasn't Woody Marks that was the third down running back. It was Dari. So I'm very like one of my low key, like under the radar. What am I watching for on Sunday? I actually mentioned this on the show today. We're all worried about the offensive line and how's the defense going to look and how many points are they going to score, and that's way more important. Way more important, admittedly. I'm very curious how many snaps and how many touches Woody Marks get. It might be 2. Like the over under there might be 2 because I don't think he's going to get a whole lot of burn early in the year. I don't like that because promise, he's exciting. I liked what I've seen from him. Whenever they drafted him, went back and watched some USC stuff. I like the way he runs. But will the Texans trust him as a third down running back in pass protection with a rookie? Whenever they trust the heck out of Dari, I think he's going to play more than Woody. And how long that lasts? I think it's going to be longer than we want.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I have a same feeling when it comes to the wide receiver position. I think that everybody loves Jaden Higgins.
Yeah.
I think they love him because of where he was drafted. But
I
think you see Xavier Hutchinson way more than what people assume you're going to see Jaden Higgins when it comes to this offense. And I think it'll be later on in the season before we get the full essence of Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel.
Sure.
I agree with that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, because we got to remember, as much as we like the shiny new toys, I mean, look, we got to get business handled, right? And we got to have guys who know where to be consistently, right? Trusted vets, or even just guys who know what they're doing. So, of course, yeah, you don't prioritize the new guys over just winning, right? That's what we want to do this for. So, speaking of questionable roster spots, speaking of that, perfect segue. So, the Davis Mills extension, I've seen smatterings of the fan base, what they kind of think about it. So, Jeremy, do you have any certain specific thoughts about the extension? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you kind of scratch your head like why? AD, I think you mentioned the Graham Mertz decision.
It makes it really questionable now that you kept Graham Mertz on the 53.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to keep him for the 53 all year. Like, I wonder if him being on the 53 was almost like a contingency if they don't re-sign Davis Mills. Now that Davis Mills is on the books for the next 2 years, this year and next year, I mean, that's half of Mertz's 4-year rookie contract.
Right.
Like, are you keeping around a 6th-round rookie for the 2 years when Davis Mills is gone? It wouldn't shock me if Graham Mertz is off the 53 sooner rather than later. And also, I don't know how much demand there is on Graham Mertz. I know that one of the reasons they kept him was because there was demand on Graham Mertz. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe once you get mid-season, it's a little bit easier to release them, practice squad on that sort of thing. But no, I mean, I think it's a good signing by the Texans. Like, I believe in the quarterback room. I believe in having continuity there. I think Davis Mills is good for C.J. Stroud. I think it's a good set of eyes whenever they're watching the film, prepping for the next week's opponent. I think that in a pinch, he could be solid for you. Like, my bar on a backup quarterback is if they can go 500 while the starting quarterback is out, that's a pretty good backup quarterback. I think Davis Mills is capable of doing that. Now, he is, I think, like the second highest paid real backup quarterback. Like, Kirk Cousins is a backup, but he's making $45 million. Like, that doesn't count. Same thing with like Deshaun Watson. Like, Deshaun Watson's, I think, making 35. Is he really a backup quarterback? Or
same thing with Anthony Richardson as well. I think he's making like 9 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah, and he was a top 5 pick, got beat out for the job. Like, he technically a backup, but is he really a true backup? I think the only higher paid backup I want to say was Marcus Mariota at $8 million, and Mills is at $7 million. So I mean, they're putting some pretty serious cash to a backup quarterback, and it was all guaranteed money too. Maybe that was the reason that he signed. But no, I think it's a good move by the Texans. I think it's good to value the backup quarterback. I believe in continuity there, so I like it. From a Davis Mills perspective, it's kind of curious to me because this is the second time that Davis Mills has signed an extension to I'm a backup quarterback in the NFL. And look, I'm not demeaning the position. Like, that'd be great, right? Hold a clipboard, watch good football with a really good ticket to watch the game and make $7 million a year. Like, I'm not demeaning it at all. But I do think it shows you that Davis Mills is comfortable being a backup quarterback in the NFL. Because I do think that he is at least capable to go somewhere and compete. Maybe not a top 32 quarterback in the world, maybe not a starter. But if he was a free agent, like, could he gone to the Saints and competed for a starting job?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think he could compete some places as a starter. And he's like, nope, give me financial security. I love Houston, I guess. I'm content being a backup quarterback in the NFL, which is cool. But that's definitely what he's telling us.
Yeah.
Real quick. Yeah. The reason why I was kind of holding my head is when you guys went on that run of just names at backup QB, Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson. I just had a moment. It's off topic, but I was like, wow, the NFL really does stand for not for long, because how did we get here? That's just kind of what I was thinking. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But okay. All right. Well, look. We're going to close the book on the Texans part. I know it's a lot, but we've been talking about it. I kind of want to switch that.
Before we switch, the injury report just came out.
Okay.
And there is 3 participants that did not participate. Let me say that. Braxton Berrios, Christian Kirk, and Cam Robinson. Okay. Berrios and Kirk did not participate due to hamstring injuries, and Cam Robinson did not participate due to an illness. And Blake Fisher was limited due to the ankle injury previously.
Sure. Cam Robinson sick of being a backup already?
It hurt him. It cut him deep.
$1 million. Yep.
I think they, instead of putting illness, they should have put ego. He's out. Did not participate due to ego. But
I mean, hey man, look, think about it. It's Alex Smith, man. You lose your job partly due to circumstances and injuries, right? And Ursary kind of came in and he wasn't a scrub, and look, we here now. So
yeah.
But with that, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that was the news that just dropped like 5 minutes ago. Texans just posted it.
Of course, you got to touch on that. All right, so kind of switching gears for a second. So Astros, we were talking a bit off stream, but before we get to what I really want to discuss, just the offense, right? As of late, I don't know how much you've been kind of keeping in tune. You just got off vacation. Jeremy, the Astros offense has been a steaming pile, a hot, stinky, steaming pile. And a lot of people in the fan base would like to say, Joe Spot included, right? It was, a bad weekend, bad couple of games. The stats say the last 2+ years, really, there's been a downward trajectory. And I think for me, and I'll pass it over to you, we're just seeing a culmination of a lot of just either bad money, bad contracts, underperforming players. Of course, you go into your slumps here and there, but I think it's much more systemic than that. Of course, also when you read the Chandler Rome article that I posted, where he talked about kind of the internal things in Dana Brown, approaching Snicker, and Citrone about the hitting concerns and whatnot. So, Jeremy, let me ask you, is there a way to fix this offense, or is there a competence level that we can get to that's passable in the near future?
I feel like it's more underperformance than anything else. Like I think that they have a talented lineup. You know, Yiner should be an above average offensive catcher. Christian Walker should be an above average offensive first baseman. You know, whoever's playing second, if it's Altuve, he's still that. Pena's had a great year. Correa's been good since he got traded. Jordan is Jordan. Myers is hurt right now, but Myers had a good year, and you know Cam Smith has hit the rookie wall a little bit. Although I've liked what I've seen over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I think he's starting to come around a little bit more. But he's had a good rookie year. Like even with the slump, he's had a good rookie year. And then, you know, I didn't even mention Jesus Sanchez, who is unplayable against lefties but hits righties. So like the potential is there. Like it just hasn't clicked, and they've all showed bright spots. Like all of those guys, it just hasn't been at once. You know, there's always that team offensive approach. And I've heard them talk about this recently, like, hey, maybe they're playing hero ball with runners on base. Maybe they're looking for the two-out homer as opposed to passing the baton, you know, take a walk, base hit to right, stuff like that. So I think the potential is there. It just hadn't clicked. For whatever reason. I don't put much blame on the hitting coaches. Like, you know, a lot of it, they need to be more patient and stuff like that. But also, like, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Like, you know, a lot of these guys are good hitters because they're aggressive.
We need to have like a breaking news for him. We got to get one of those, AD. So as of 3 minutes ago, Astros announced Eric Getty on the IL with 15-day IL with right elbow inflammation retroactive to August 31st.
That's easy.
They selected Jaden Murray to the roster. In the corresponding move, they transferred John Rooney to the 60-day IL. So there you go.
Yeah, when it comes to Astros and when they do 15-day IL, that's the season.
Well, here's
the way Astros handle injuries.
Listen, Jeremy, not to stomp what you were saying. Listen, here's the thing with that, and I'll just kick it back over. The medical staff probably needs to get ready to, you know, hit the bricks at some point. I don't want to be overreactive, but this is a discussion I've had with numerous people about if you're Jim Crane. Look, you got Memorial Herman, right? Like you're supposed to lead medicine. Like, what's the commercial, AD? What is it? It's like not just practicing.
Leader in medicine.
But not just practicing, but leading medicine.
Yeah.
And you have this has reached historic proportions at this point. And I'll shut up. It's just astonishing how it's gone. I haven't seen a season like this. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I just can't recall a season where the injuries have been this bad.
Yeah. We had a caller, Pete was his name, says that the Houston Astros are misleading in medicine. Misleading medicine. They joke on that leading medicine line. Is a pretty good one. Like the arm injuries are one thing. Like that's baseball now in 2025. Like it's frustrating, but it is real. Is it a bigger thing with the Astros because they chase velocity and spin? Maybe, but like which Major League Baseball team isn't chasing velocity and spin? I think they all are. So like the pitching thing, I don't really blame them. Like it's just that's the way of the world in Major League Baseball in 2025. Now, Yordan Alvarez swinging a bat for a couple of months with a broken hand. Kyle Tucker running on a treadmill with a broken bone in his leg. Jake Myers playing center field with a strained calf like 2 days after he leaves the game with a strain. Like that, those are the areas where it's what are they doing? Like why or what's going wrong? Like what's going wrong? And one of the things that Dana Brown's tried to fix is like the imaging. Like we're going to do more imaging. Like that's great. I'm here for that. That you should be doing that. But where was that originally? Like why weren't you doing more imaging? Like I broke my fibula whenever I was college. I guess I was playing basketball poorly, and I came down on somebody's leg, and I sprained it so bad that I hit the concrete, put a crack in the fibula. And I went to get X-rays, and you know they're like, "Oh yeah, it's just a sprained ankle. We don't see any break." Like 2 or 3 days later, I'm like, "Okay, if it's sprained ankle, I can at least stand on it, right?
Sure.
Like I can stand on this thing." I tried to stand on it, I almost fell over in pain. So I went back, got another X-ray. Oh yeah, there's the broken bone. It was just too inflamed, and we didn't see it. That's rudimentary stuff. Like every medical expert knows this. I'm an idiot, and I know this. Like so you're telling me that this medical staff isn't doing more imaging when every medical expert in the history of the world knows that it's possible that the inflammation's so great that you're going to miss a broken bone, which I understand. Like inflammation's too severe, you can't see it.
Right. So come back tomorrow.
Understand.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you get more information to learn more about that specific injury? It blows my mind how they weren't doing more imaging on these guys. It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
I mean, we talking about it. Isaac Paredes was out catching ground balls today.
Yeah.
And he's going to Florida now for rehab, and he's likely on track to make it back either end of season or at the very least the playoffs. And
Listen, I would say this, AD and Jeremy. If the Astros win a World Series like this, let's say an ALCS, there should be a 30 for 30 on. I'm like halfway dead serious. If they manage to pull off anything significant in a playoff context, there should be a study. There's no way, because the circumstances are screaming that, hey, just pack it in, right? Just stop it. Arguably the worst division in baseball. I'm sorry, people trying to argue the Central. No, give me the AL West for 500. They are the worst division in baseball. Combined with injuries, combined with the Farmer thing, which I want to get into right next, it's just tough. But to segue real quick off of that, Framber Valdez, you discussed this a bit off stream. It's been a heck of a day for him and his representation. Heck of a day. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts? Of course, you know what I'm alluding to, right? The issue last night and the repercussions. So, what are your thoughts?
I think this is a case where perception leads to it being reality, but I think it's perception. I have a tough time landing on intent. Look, I'm over Framber. I would have never paid Framber $200 million for 7 years. I don't believe in signing free agents in their 30s, especially pitchers. Like, I just don't believe in that. So I was never on the bring Framber back crowd. I've accepted this is the final year of Framber Valdez for the last 3 years, quite frankly. So, and look, did he act unprofessional last night? Was he Bush League? Was he classless? Was he selfish? Did he have a mental meltdown? Does he have issues controlling his temper? All of the things. Yes, all of the things.
Yes.
Do I think that because, like, listen to the reach. I hesitate to say reach, but listen to the reach. Like, and I look, I understand that the entire world is saying that Framber did it intentionally. That's okay. Like, popular opinion isn't always right. But you're telling me that Framber was so mad at his catcher for telling him to step off, which is a very normal baseball thing. Hey, man, step off. Step off. No, that's a nothing burger. That's a nothing burger. He's so mad that his catcher told him to step off that Framber then threw the pitch that he wanted to throw, not what the catcher was called, what he wanted to throw, and that pitch goes for a grand slam. He was so mad at his catcher that the first pitch to Volpe, the next guy, high and away fastball, might have even been a changeup. It was at 90. The TV graphics said changeup. MLB.com said fastball. So there's a little bit of controversy if that was a fastball or changeup. Does it matter? Probably not. Why would he do it first pitch? If he's so mad at his catcher for telling him to step off, which is a basic baseball move, why wouldn't he drill him first pitch? To set up drilling him on the second pitch. What I think happened, I don't think it was intentional.
Sure.
My biggest theory, and look, no one knows this to be true other than Framber. Framber is the only person in the world that knows if he did it on purpose or if he didn't. So all of this is conjecture, all of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
My theory, and listening to the post-game sound, like, take or leave what you want there, I guess, what you believe. My theory is that Framber was so mad that he basically lost the game there. And that if you go back and watch the footage on this, he starts throwing these pitches as quickly as possible. So I think he was just, okay, I'm going to throw my sinker, get out of here. I'm checked out for the rest of the game. That he's just, okay, sinker. And you can see this. Like, you can see this in the video footage that I posted. Framber starts his windup, and then you see Salazar punching in the signal. So I think that Framber heard curveball after he started his windup, and at that point it was too late. Now, should have Framber waited a little bit longer and he was going too fast because he couldn't control his emotions? Yeah. Absolutely. But I don't think the intent was, I'm going to drill Cesar Salazar because I'm so mad that he had me step off. I think that there was a legit cross up there. I think Framber lost his emotion, lost his train of thought, which is unacceptable. I understand that. And he's just, I'm throwing sinker. Salazar gave him curveball after he started his windup. So Salazar's looking curveball, and then he gets there and it's not a curveball. But I don't think the intent, I'm going to hurt him. I'm going to drill him with a pitch. That doesn't, I can't get there. I can't get there.
Yeah, I think for me and AD, I'll toss it to you. I think for me, we talked pre-stream about this. It's an indictment in and of itself. To your point, you said perception in this case might be reality for some. The fact that a lot of people wouldn't put it past Fromber to even think about doing it,
Yeah.
I think that's enough for a lot of people. I think over the years, Fromber has shown this, and I made a piece, and look, I'll own it, I'll stand on it. I'm a Crawfish Boxes contributor, so I've written pieces from time to time, and I wrote a think piece on Fromber Valdez and potential Hall of Fame chances, just a spitball way out there, right?
Yeah.
And I said that with the premise of I'm thinking Fromber has raised his floor enough as a performer to where these mental like craterings were probably in his rear view, right? He kind of sabled out a little bit, and he had his routine of decompressing on the mound and taking laps or whatever. I thought we were kind of past this point, right? To see him kind of relapse, if you will, to kind of go back, and I mean, it's just a firestorm now. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's where it's like, yeah, man, I think it's almost reached cancer level where I'm not calling him a cancer, but the idea of Fromber at this point, I think is becoming cancerous. And then to couple that with a post from Michael Schwab I saw earlier today when I think I might have seen it, where he said it got heated in the clubhouse. Yeah. Like the coaches had to get involved and separate guys. So I think it's one of those things where this is a flashpoint moment in his career. Because again, to your point, let's say it wasn't his intention, right? Because if it was, you could definitely see there being like a career-threatening decision where it's like, hey, man, listen, like it's one thing in baseball, right, to hit a guy from another team. Even that's kind of bush league sometimes when he does it. But now it's like you're punishing teammates, like you're turning into that guy. Yeah, that's a whole different conversation.
I mean, think of the claim. Look, eliminate opinion. Like eliminate. Like I understand I'm in a minority opinion here. I can't get there. I'm sorry. Like I just can't. Like, am I right? I have no idea. Like Fromber would have to tell me. Like, we have no idea who's right here. Fromber's the only one that knows. But like eliminate opinion out of it for a second. Do you recall? And I challenge, because a lot of people will argue with me, and I understand. Like I have a minority opinion here. Like we're going to have a thought. We're going to have a conversation. And I challenged the people I was discussing with this. Have you ever in your life, and you guys have watched a lot of Major League Baseball, have you ever in your, because yes, Major League pitchers hitting opposing hitters is common practice. For better or worse.
Sure.
Have you ever in your life ever seen, heard, read, folklore, ever a Major League pitcher hitting their own catcher? So the claim we're making, and look, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm right. My opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I respect it, and I enjoy conversations with those that have different opinions. I think it leads to great conversation, great chatter, and great debate. The claim that we're making, though, by accusing him of this, is in my history of the sport, this would be the first time it's ever happened, at least in our memory, our generation. Because I have never, Bob Gibson, a son of a gun, Nolan Ryan, a son of a gun, all of these guys, I have never in my life read, seen, heard anything where a Major League Baseball pitcher drills their own catcher. So the claim that is being made, right or wrong, is that he did something that has never been done in Major League Baseball history.
Right.
Yeah.
It's out there, but if true, you're right. It's cancerous.
I just say a lot of people have already picked their sides. That's all.
No doubt. Here's the other thing I'll throw at you.
Yeah.
If he was spinning a gym, let's say it's the 8th inning, he's working on a one-hit shutout, and that happens. What's the conversation then? I don't think anybody says a thing.
Not blinking an eye.
They don't say a word.
No.
So
it's a routine. It's a routine play.
What happens a lot, I think, in sports opinion, and again, this is great. Like I love sports opinion. I love fiery, passionate stuff. It's awesome. I think a lot of time what happens is we let player performance form our opinion. When things are going great, things are doing well, you have way more leeway, not going to bat an eye. When things are going poorly, that leeway, that runway is non-existent at all. If Fromber did this in the 8th inning of a one-hit shutout, nobody says a word.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Hey, do you got anything about this?
I mean, I agree. I think that it's gotten a little bit overblown. I think people are more upset with Framber's play in general. The past, I would say, really the whole season, if you want to talk about it, because the Jekyll and Hyde of it all has really frustrated Astros fans.
Mm-hmm.
Because we, again, like you said, Clayton, earlier, we thought we were past this
Mm-hmm.
From Framber, and here we are again, and the meltdowns. He'll have a meltdown, come back the next game and throw a gem, and then it'll be back to meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much on and off, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the frustration is. And then I think this was just the boiling point
Yeah.
or the tipping point, and giving those who don't like Framber or are frustrated with Framber a reason to go off again on Framber and saying, "Oh, this is another reason why."
Yeah.
That we don't like Framber. Or this is why Framber has to go. Not only does he have these meltdowns, and he's been horrid in certain games, and then it didn't help us going against the Yankees of all
Yeah. That's another thing.
teams.
If this
Yeah,
happened
it's
against
too off
the
you.
Pirates, is it that big a
Yeah.
talking point if it was the Pirates?
right,
If he doesn't give up a grand slam, let's
right.
just say it happened later in the inning, but doesn't even give up a grand slam.
Yeah.
Like I understand that I'm kind of changing the context a little
Sure.
bit.
Yeah.
No, but it adds on to it, and it gives more clarity, because a lot of fans, or especially the Astro fans, they have their pick of who they love and who they'll defend to the end of the
Oh, yeah.
earth, and then they have guys who they're just waiting to go off on. I'll give you another one, Diaz. Yainer Diaz is another one of those.
Yeah.
Those players that Astro fans are just waiting for him to do something behind the mound, behind the plate, or for him to struggle at the plate,
Mm-hmm.
for them to give reason for them to go off on him. Because why? Maldonado was the golden child at catcher, and they loved as anemic as he was at the plate, they would take Maldonado as our day one starter catcher, all everything catcher,
Yeah.
over Yainer, who's shown the pop in the bat and the potential to grow and be a better catcher overall. They would take that all day, every day, because Maldonado brought I would say, prestige or presence behind the plate, and they felt pitchers respected him more, and he garnered the love from the fan base because of it.
I think it's hit or miss there. Maybe the majority of people, but I mean, I think it was pretty divisive whenever it was Maldi Yiner. I think it was 50-50. Like some would have the Maldi, and then some were critical of Dusty for not playing Yiner more.
Yeah.
And that was the whole they'll thank me later thing. And look, I have my qualms with Yiner. I wouldn't take Maldi over Yiner. But I get frustrated with Yiner, I'll admit. I think he's a terrible receiver. I think he's a really bad defensive catcher, which is frustrating because that's a very important defensive position.
Right. That's your job.
And then offensively, like, I mean, he has the unbelievable potential. Like, he has the potential to hit 320. I mean, 299 last year. He hit 299 last year with, liabilities with swing decisions and plate discipline. He had almost 25 homers in his rookie year where he played like 110 games or whatever it was. So I think he has the potential to be the best offensive catcher in baseball. Now, defensively, he's even a catcher, but it's more the swing decisions, play discipline, grounding into double plays with the bases loaded, nobody out. Because for me, my frustration is because I think he has incredible offensive potential. And he just hasn't lived up to that because of poor plate discipline and bad swing decisions, in my opinion.
I think for me, I look at again that report from Chandler Rome when he mentioned near the middle, basically in this whole offensive issue that we're having right now, this kerfuffle. Yainer and Altuve are the biggest offenders when it's coming to this whole free swinging culture. They are the two. They're 1A and 1B. And Altuve, look, arguably he's the GOAT, right? Like, give us flowers. Like, he's a couple homers away from the all-time postseason home run record. Like, he's cemented. I get it. But he kind of popularized the free swinging culture for at least for this team. And it was cute when he goes on 5-game stretches of first pitch swinging leadoff game home runs to the Crawford boxes. But when you see it at its worst version, you're like, ew. But then now you see Yainer Diaz and I'm not saying that Yainer does it because of Altuve. I'm just saying now systemically, you look at a Yainer to me is that attitude of an Altuve, but it never worked. Altuve somehow makes it work. Yainer is much more of this is the rule, not the exception, because Altuve is the exception to that rule. No, I'll agree. Yainer Diaz for me, and it's going to segue into my last question. Yeah, I'm frustrated with him because, again, I had so much high hope for him, right? I was one of those guys banging the desk, I remember when that Dusty article came down about thank me later. Oh, I was hot. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean, Dusty? How dare you? Oh no. But no, so these motion sensor lights, but y'all can still see me. No, I was one of those guys who were pounding the desk for Yainer. And now to see him here, it's like it hurts because it's like, Yainer, you're letting us all down, man. Like you're the guys who fought for you. We wanted you in this position. Now you got it full time, and look what you're doing with it. So now leads us to our final question, Jeremy. Off-season questions, right? Like we're gonna blow past the playoffs. Off-season changes. What do you see? Big, small, coaching, player. What do you got?
That's a tough one because they have some. I mean, they have a lot of critical decisions. I don't think the decision on Fromber is going to be that difficult for them. Like, hey, Fromber, we're going to give you the qualifying offer. You're going to, of course, say no to the qualifying offer, and then we're going to get a compensation draft pick when you sign with somebody else. Now, do they add a pitcher though? Like, they have a lot of starters, but they really only have one top end of the rotation starter with Hunter Brown. So, okay, Hunter Brown top end of the guy. Then you have, your Eric Geddes. Hopefully, he doesn't need Tommy John, who, like you said earlier, landed on the IL. But you have Javier coming back. You have Garcia coming back. You expect Ronel Blanco at some point again next year. Is Blue Ball a starter? Is the Yolola guy a starter? Brandon Walter, who knows about his elbow because he's also on the IL. I've liked what I've seen from Jason Alexander. So I don't even know how many guys I just listed there, but you have like 9 starters.
Right. Then you have the enigma that is Lance McCullers.
Oh, Lance McCullers.
I think he's cooked. I think that's
let's not include Lance. So like how many starters I mentioned there? 9 maybe? 8 of the 9 though are middle of the rotation, back of the rotation starters. So like do you go into the year with Hunter Brown, only true top of the rotation guy, and then a bunch of 3, 4, 5s? Maybe they do. They're going to have some money coming off the books because Abreu's contract's up. Fromber's leaving.
I think Montero's is already gone. I think
his final year, because he signed 3 years when Abreu did, so he's officially off the books. I don't know how much money they retained when they traded him to the Braves. I think they retained some, but I don't know how much. But then on the offense side of the ball, you have a surplus of starters. Like is Yainer going to be your catcher next year? Dana Brown has been bold. He traded Kyle Tucker. Like, would he trade Yainer because they don't love his defense and his approach at the plate? Maybe. Like, I've seen Brian McTaggart allude to that. Like, they're people in the organization are fed up with his plate discipline and his, all that. So would they trade him? Now, if they do trade him, Caratini's a free agent. They have a surplus of infielders because you have Correa, you have Pena, you have Isak. Arias is still under contract. You have Walker. Is Altuve a left fielder or is he a second baseman? If he's a second baseman, he's in the mix there. So maybe you could trade from the infield surplus. Maybe you could package Yainer for a top of the rotation starter. Not saying that's going to happen, but it would be an option.
Sure.
But everything else pretty basic, right? Like Sanchez, Cam Smith, Myers is your outfield. Jordan's your DH.
Yep.
So they just have a surplus of back of the rotation starters and a surplus of infielders.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me, Dady, I'm sorry, I don't know if you had anything that you want to touch on this. So I think for me with this, Jeremy, to your point, there are more solutions once you think about it. I think it's just a timing issue. I think we're in such a funk right now. It's hard to see past this to the light, but it's there. I think seasons like this, they suck because there is so much turnover. There is so much, just a lot of negative going on. But seasons like this are good because they do expose a lot of things that need to change, right? So I think systemically they're going to have to look in the mirror. They're going to have to understand that since 2022, that last ring, they have, falling on hard times to be generous for what they're going through right now. This is not Astros baseball. This is not the quality or the standard that they themselves have set. Like if we're talking other teams like the Pirates or other teams like that or the Rockies, it's like, okay, you're a playoff leader, you're a division leader, okay. But for this team who knows what winning is, they know what championship pedigree is. You have multiple champions who've been around the clubhouse, and Michael Brantley and others. This is just not what you have cultivated, right? At the risk of sounding like an entitled fan, because we know how those are with the Bostons and New Yorks. We try not to be that way. We don't win too much. So, like, we got this little thing, we got a little taste, and now it's like, okay, now what do you do? And I go back to, and I'll land on this point. It's something that Jeff Luno kind of alluded to when he said complacency, right? And I forget the rest of what he said, but just complacency. And look at the Astros, and I think, especially with the whole weird shadow government thing they had going on. It's last season where it's like, was it Reggie? Was it Bagwell? Like, who's making decisions? Yeah. I think that a day of reckoning has come. I think it is coming, and I think it will come. And I think, I won't be one of those guys a spot I got to go. I don't think so. I don't think Dana's out of here, but I definitely think some internal roster turnover is definitely in order. I think the medical team needs to get prepared for some job evaluations. And I do think that, next season will be better. I do think so. But we got to get there first. But speaking of getting there, Jeremy, we really appreciate it, sir. I mean, we want to respect your time because I was looking at the clock. We just reached an hour. So, you've been very gracious. I'll thank you for that.
Of course. Happy to do it.
So last thing, again, you're very well known in space, but love having you. We didn't mention earlier, we'd be remiss. So, of course, ESPN 97.5, Killer Bees. Also the play-by-play voice of U of H Cougars, right? So we got to put that out there, put some respect on his name. So Jeremy, are there any other projects you're working on? Anything new we can look out for? Anything else we can share?
No, far too lazy for that. No, I it's enough. No.
Yeah. AD, you got anything else as we're
No, I mean, you talked about the Astros at the end. I just want to say Ben Verlander said it best. The Astros are inevitable.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really want to thank you, Jeremy, for joining us this afternoon, this evening. Appreciate it. Thank you for all your insight and conversation. It's been a blast, a joy, a pleasure to have you on with us at the H-Town Rundown, and we thank you.
The insight's heavily debatable. It depends on who you ask. But no, it was good. It was good chopping it up with you guys. I enjoyed the conversation. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. All right, Jeremy, AD, gentlemen, we got ball to look forward to.
And with that being said, we will see y'all when we see y'all, man. Peace.
Yes,